Mom, I saw Dylan's dad make dinner. Like, actually cook, and it was straight fire. He said it was Blue Apron Assemble and Bake. All the ingredients showed up pre-chopped, and he just laid it out on a baking sheet, and no cap. Dinner was on the table in like 25 minutes. Apparently, it's chef designed, and it has like over 40 grams of protein. That's a lot, right? So maybe we try it. Just saying. You can be the next Dylan's dad. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hey, it's Ed here, and before we get to the main show, I just wanted to add a note to say thank you for listening all season. It's been a pretty disastrous season on the pitch, save for the cup final win, which Dan and I are going to talk about shortly. Throughout the summer, we're going to keep doing content, the daily shows on our YouTube channel. There'll be the main pods once or twice a week. You can catch the Backers show on Patreon and the new Tactics Backers show as well. And we really appreciate your continued support. On to the main show. All right, Daniel, it's the day after Manchester United 2, City 1 in the FA Cup final. And the question everyone wants to know is, did you spend the night in the discotheque?
It's funny you say that. Oh my days. Someone came up to me in the game and asked me if I would be attending the discotheque. I think it was half time if we were to win. I didn't actually, because I walked to Wembley. I felt like I'd been away. Usually I'm in the discotheque with my wife. We were not out together on this occasion. I'd walked to Wembley. I'd skived the whole day. So after the game, I felt like I should probably go and hang out. Well, my wife and my daughter were at a friend's house. So went and had a few warmers there. What a fucking day, Edward.
Oh, yes, it was good. Wasn't it good?
Man.
Wasn't it good? I think we went into the cup final, question marks over Erik Ten Hag. Like, some of the interviews and the press conference beforehand was just fucking rude. And I felt like we've been super critical of him all season for good reason. But, in many ways, that was his day yesterday. He designed the plan. He deserved the plaudits. He came out with personality. Where did he find this Riz from? He was pushing back. He was aggressive. It's great for him. The young players scored the goals. United beat City. Absolutely fantastic. Couldn't have been better.
No, this is the best day since Fergie retired.
Basically,
good ones. I guess the highlights. Thinking back, I wasn't at the game of City where we turned it around from 2-0 and stopped them winning the league against us.
Yeah,
that was a good one. And the Gerrard getting sent off on his last game against United, and you're just kind of standing there, and I'm thinking, elbowing my mate, saying, "Did Steven Gerrard just come on for his last game against United and then get sent off 38 seconds later, or whatever it was?" And it was 38 seconds. I guess I probably didn't know that then. 30 seconds later, did that really happen? Because it's just one of those things that even in this crazy world of football, where stuff that should never happen happens. And part of me wonders if this is one of the reasons why football's never properly translated to the screen, because you just can't make up the shit that happens.
Right. Narratives are too good, yeah.
But yeah, this was a very, 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 very good one. Goodness me. I could tell we were on to a winner when we managed to see out the first 11 seconds without going behind. And from that moment on, I knew it was our day.
It's 45 seconds and there was that penalty shout on Erling Haaland, which, by the way, is never a penalty. I'm not having that for a second. But I did think that UAE's Michael Oliver on VAR might be tempted to give it. In the end, they dismissed it pretty quick. But yeah, there were moments throughout the game where you're like, okay, maybe it's our day. Haaland hits the bar.
Even before that, in the second half, it felt like the bounces of the ball were going in the direction that they were meant to go. And that is not something we've said very often recently.
No.
But it felt like the things that needed to be going, favouring the forces of light, were doing so. But even before that, I fancied us. Because, and I've been saying this all season, that I fancy us to score 2 goals in any game. I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're playing that well. And we had those centre-backs playing, and that was the difference. I know Manu got man of the match. I would have given it to Varane first and Daylight second. I thought that just having two defenders that are composed and confident and you just know are going to make the right decisions at the right time, that to me felt like the difference. And I feel bad for Ten Hag, because if he had these guys fit all season, we wouldn't be talking about his job. And yet it has been bad enough, despite that, for us to be talking about his job. But
yeah. Let's get on to Ten Hag a bit later, and we can analyze what it might mean for him, because in retrospect, there's going to be some revisionism because we won a trophy. But I suspect the management will take the same cold-hearted view they've taken with everyone's job at the club. But let's talk about the setup, because it's partly about having the right people back. Varane and Martinez, our two best central defenders, just totally reliable. Varane's performance, just outstanding again. And if only he could stay fit, he would be getting another contract and staying at the club. But also the shape, just completely coherent, like very, very tight, 4-4-2 without the ball, with Amrabat sitting right in front of those two central defenders, compressing space and then hitting the corners and going direct and fast on the transitions, like completely coherent. Now, you can say Pep was completely salty afterwards. He didn't like it. But that is the way you beat this City side, and United did it to a man.
It's
right
funny
system, right players.
It's funny the things he likes and doesn't like, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Like things he likes. I did like human rights abuses. Things he doesn't like. Hair. Feels like that is not the correct way around. But
Dear
I think
me.
I was sort of leaning towards extra midfielder, and the reason is, I think, that because one of our midfield players is Bruno and another one is Mainu, those guys face a goal threat. So if you've got two strikers, that's still four players that can score and create for you. If we had someone who didn't have Mainu's eye for an opportunity, it would be a player too few. And I'd be thinking if it was Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno, right, and then two strikers or something, I'm thinking, not sure where these goals are going to come from. Like, we're really hoping for everything to go right here. But just that extra player, the difference between four players that can do it and three players that can do it, I felt gave us the leeway. And we keep seeing it now. We may knew that he cannot be a number 6 because he's too good around the box. And,
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, the system was this kind of 4-2-2-2, and like, it was hard to say at times who were the two up front, right? Sometimes it was Bruno and McTominay. Marcus Rashford tried to beat Kyle Walker. 34-year-old Kyle Walker is getting quicker with age. A bit odd, that one. I'm not saying that Pep's history might play a role in that, but I'm not saying it either. But anyway, Marcus got beaten like for pace with his first time he tried to go past Walker. And then after that, he just cut inside. And so sometimes the two up front were Marcus and Garnacho, and sometimes it was Bruno and McTominay. And City were the ones that were incoherent in defence, and United stuck to the plan, and City couldn't cope with it. And that first goal comes from Guardiola getting turned around. And because who's coming at him? Was it going to be Bruno, McTominay? No, it's Garnacho cutting inside. I was astonished. I know we'll go into like more tactical depth with Darnish on the Backers pod later in the week. But I just thought, like, this plan that has been so mental all season with the big gap, the donut formation, and being so weak against transitions. And suddenly he goes, oh yeah, I've got a plan for this. And it makes sense. Compress the space and then try and turn their high back four around. And it was the right plan for the day, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, it's one of those things that playing like that would probably work against all the other teams as well, because we've still got those good strikers and those good defenders. It wouldn't be the best way of doing it. So I wasn't sitting there thinking, where's this been all season? Because
not in every game. It's not
appropriate for most games. I mean, it's the Ole Pro former, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it'll never change for City. And because Guardiola's now had this epiphany that defenders who can run and are strong and good at defending are useful. But he's sort of gone a little bit too far, because you've got centre-backs at left-back. And Guardiola, I mean, it wasn't the error that he made. I mean, it was really like a kind of park error. But anyone who's played centre-forward at any kind of Sunday league level, you know that the header's probably getting missed, and you're not even, I mean, for me anyway, that is the kind of ball I would never have ever contested. Because I think part of it is because I wore glasses from when I was 7, so I wasn't really used to heading the ball. But also, I wouldn't trust myself to win any kind of header because I know that you're probably going to mess it up because at that level, defenders don't just leap in the air and thunk it away.
Yeah.
But it was a reward for Garnacho. Garnacho is a street fighter. Most players are not there to score that goal because they assume that Guardiola is going to deal with it, the keeper's going to deal with it. But Garnacho doesn't. He knows that the mistake is possible, and he gets a tap in. And if you do that regularly, your reward might only come once a season, twice a season, but you will get one. And it worked out nicely that he got his. I mean, I thought Guardiola also sort of picked the wrong team. But Bernardo Silva's a brilliant footballer, but he's not a winger. He doesn't have the pace to go play on the wing. And then once you've got that,
he's a utility player.
You're not stretching the pitch on that side. You've got no pace on that side, and that makes the way United want to defend much easier. And I think the way he probably thought about it was that they keep the ball enough. United just won't get enough of the ball to hurt them. So it made more sense to say start Bernardo, not Doku, because Doku's a bit of a bit hit or miss. But I think when I saw Kovacic was in the team, I thought, thank you. I still don't get it with him. I'm not saying he's useless. And he's got some physical presence. He can carry the ball a bit, but does he belong in that squad? Nah, man. I'd be annoyed if we bought him.
He's there for the counter press, and rather than stretching the pitch with Doku, I think that was the choice. Bernardo was always going to play, and it was Kovacic or Doku, and I think that kind of points to where Pep's concerns were. And it's kind of interesting because I think his saltiness after the game was partly about him. He got it wrong.
He did.
Ten Hag got it right and he got it wrong. And I think that's what he was most annoyed about.
I think he underestimated us as well. And as we keep saying, the thing about these dickheads that's so dickheaded is we know that there's a performance like this in them.
Yeah.
And we've seen it before. It's not like those Mourinho Van Gaal days where you're thinking, I despise all of these and they're all rubbish. Almost all of them are rubbish. Like here, we've got high-level players. We've got Varane and Martinez, and Guardiola was generous about Martinez, said he was one of the best 5 defenders in the world, and I agree he is. We've got Rashford, who, for everything that's been said about him this season, if you think he can't play, you're an idiot, Gareth Southgate, or both. You've got Kobbie Mainoo, brilliant footballer. Garnacho could be a superstar if he stays focused. And then you can't fuck about when you're playing those players. And if you think you can, then that's what's going to happen. Well, not that's what can happen. I should probably say. It definitely isn't what's going to happen. But very early on, I mean, I remember we scored the first goal, and then I said to one of the boys I was with that we need to score again now because we're on top of this. But I think we are going to score again. And when we do score again, I think it'll be enough. I didn't feel like City had 2 goals in them at the level that we're going to concede twice. And obviously we're more than capable. But what we really had this time was enough players with composure in possession so that also the ones that have no composure in possession, like Wan-Bissaka, were actually able to feel more comfortable, more stable, and then put in the top level of performance that they were capable of. And that's what Fergie always used to say, that very rare you get a day where you're getting, say, an 8 out of 10 from every player. And in his time, I can think of not that many games. Roma 7-1, Newcastle 6-2, Wimbledon away in the Cup 3-0, 93, 94. Not many where everyone is at it. But for whatever reason, these guys who had been told that their manager was getting fired on Friday and must have thought that he is, think that he is, have decided that before, was somehow able to go there. And it's not just about the basics like passing, it's also about things like concentration and convincing yourselves to believe that you can win. And they did do that.
Afterwards, they absolutely, and they were on it for all of it. Even in those difficult moments in the second half when City put the pressure on, it was all in front of United. And City's goal comes from a mistake, not from an individual mistake, not from them pulling us apart. And they never managed to consistently pull us out of shape. I do wonder, because Ten Hag after the game said, "Hey, we've been out without players all year, and he's been pushing this line an awful lot recently, feeling a bit defensive, I guess, given the question marks about his job. But he also mentioned Casemiro, said we were without Casemiro. And I just wonder whether United could have been as disciplined with Casemiro in the side. And it's not to say he hasn't been a brilliant player in his time. It's just this version of Casemiro, unable to eat up the space.
But able to eat absolutely everything else.
Yeah, well, ouch. He, by the way, didn't join the celebrations afterwards, straight on a private jet off on these Holly Balls.
Again, like, you feel wrong speculating here, but it absolutely reeks of you're not starting and sulking.
I was talking to friends I was watching the game with, and I was like, yeah, is he throwing a wobbly here after because he was in the squad. He was in the squad, and then suddenly something happened and he wasn't in the squad. And Ten Hag said it was an injury afterwards. He didn't chuck him under the bus or anything like that. And Cambrala came into the.
Not sure that would be helpful for the bus.
Oh, jeez!
See the driver flying through the front window.
Yeah, he's a unit. Anyway, just to round off that thought, I mean, I think it helped United. I mean, also it helped. Like, every central, like, defensive midfielder looks better when there's less space to cover, for sure. And there was a lot less space to cover. United covered in between those half spaces by compressing the team in defence really, really well. They counter-pressed. When it didn't work, they got back into their shape. Like, basics like that. It's not like United could have pulled off this tactical thing for every game. It definitely couldn't have done. But the basics of getting back into your shape really quickly would have stopped things like getting thumped by Crystal Palace the other week, for sure.
And this is, I think the main thing is it's not even technical, it's focus and concentration and organisation. And that is what you get, particularly from Martinez. And what you get from Varane is you just know that this guy's going to win almost everything in the air, almost every header, and he will not fuck you up. He will not hinder all the effort that you're putting in moments of intense, unfathomable stupidity. And I said this when Ten Hag said a few weeks ago that some players you can just put them in and they'll do it. That's who I assumed he was talking about, because this is what serious professionals do. They're able to play football well, and they don't have to make excuses when they don't, because that's not what they do. Like, they're consistent. And I would love Varane to stay, but it's obviously not going to happen. He can't be first choice. You can't rely on him. But if he was your third choice and you had someone else who was learning from him, that would be nice. It's obviously not happening, but and it's a shame that we never got him at his peak. But every penny that we paid him, and it's been a lot, and we got bugger all out of it, but every penny that we paid that fucker, that handsome dickhead, he absolutely justified it yesterday.
He is far too handsome, yeah. I mean, look, if he would take a third of the wages, because, I mean, it does come down to money as well. They are watching every penny at the moment. If he would take that, it would be well worth having him there. Because he's not, but from his point of view, he's not third choice quality, right? He's first choice quality, but he's third choice fitness. And it's a shame, but a brilliant performance from him. Let's talk about the second goal, because, I mean, man, that was what a fantastic goal. Marcus Rashford sort of flat Hollywood ball all the way out to Garnacho. Garnacho's slowed it down, then sped it up, waiting for the Bruno run. The Bruno no-look pass, like, just one of the assists of the season. Like, low-key one of the assists of the season. And Cobby's first-time finish. It's just all absolutely brilliant.
It's one of the great Wembley goals, that, and one of the great United goals. And even before the Rashford pass, the way Bruno and Manu work it out of defence is just clever. Like, they check back inside, wait till there's space, and then when it goes forward, the spacing is just all right. When Garnacho's on it, Wan-Bissaka, I think, is he underlapping or overlapping? I think it's an underlap, which means that the defender can't go to Garnacho because he's got another man. And Manu could have moved across to the centre-forward position, but he knows Bruno's there, so he stays on the left. And at the time, you're thinking, how on earth did you see him? Then obviously you see it again, and you're like, because he's looked 3 or 4 times to make sure that he's there. But it reminded me a bit in a way. Do you remember the goal that Toni Kroos scores? It's a free kick. And he scores it for Germany against South Korea? Or I can't remember who it's against. It's a 2-2 draw in the World Cup. And what happens is he curls in this free kick from an oblique angle. But it's just the touches. There's a touch to move it, then a touch to shift it, and he just smacks it in. And it's the perfection of the touch and the trap, where it looks like it's easy, but to get it that delicate is so difficult. It's also like when you see a snooker player and they try and roll up behind the ball, and you think, "Oh, easy snooker there." Try it in your snooker club or whatever, and see that the object ball doesn't disappear halfway down the table. And it's not just the seeing of it; it's the clip of it's the pace of the clip that it's so perfect. It arrives on Mainu's correct foot and just a perfect pace, so that really all he needs to do is tickle it, and it's going to go in. And
yeah,
it is a fantastic goal from, especially when you consider that Bruno Fernandes doesn't really understand football. And he's just whacking hopeful Hollywood passes all the time.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to suddenly produce that at that moment is staggering, really, when you consider how crap he is.
It's. I mean, he's got 38 goals and assists this season. Utter shit.
And he has been. I mean, and he's dragged us through this cup run as well. That Liverpool game is not one without him, and it's so good to see him turn up and play brilliantly like he did yesterday, because this is also one of the things, rather than people saying, well, hang about, maybe it is a problem for him when we're playing teams that are smashing us because he's playing with ourselves. People will be like, well, he's rubbish in big games. And you think, what on earth are you talking about? And the last 3 months, he's been absolutely brilliant. And that was a gigantic performance from him yesterday, of trying everything he could to make sure that game went the right way. Because the thing is once we're 2-0 up and you're thinking, this is a perfect performance now. But then you kind of think, well, it's half. Imagine if we were to lose from here.
Yeah,
because
well, that's certainly what I was thinking.
Yeah, the pressure you're then under in the second half. Because if it's 0-0, you're 1-0 down, they're trying to stay in it. You're not playing under the same level of pressure. Whereas from 2-0 up, if you let them beat us from there, like we still go on about 2-0 up and fucked it up, City is our name. And that was in November 1993.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1992.
Yeah.
And so quite some time ago, we were young, and now we're not.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah, this could have been like a fuck up for the ages.
Mm-hmm.
And really, at no point did I massively fear that it was coming.
It's because they kept it. They kept the shape. They kept the shape all the time. Even with there was a bit. I was worried for the first 15 minutes of the second half when Ten Hag didn't react to Pep's changes. Right, so Pep brought on Doku first, and then who was it came on for De Bruyne later? I forget now.
Alvarez?
Yes.
Alvarez, maybe?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because De Bruyne seems to have lost his legs a little bit. I mean, he's getting on. He needs to go see Kyle Walker's doctor, I think.
He's carrying a lot of weight in his hair as well.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of gel. I was definitely worried about Doku just because his ability to stretch the game, but United didn't leave space behind, and Wan-Bissaka got really tight to him. I was worried about the potential for a penalty because Wan-Bissaka was really tight, but there were only a few moments when Doku was able to break through. I mean, obviously the goal, but there weren't loads, and all the pressure was in front of us. And with Martinez and Varane, who are great box defenders, I wasn't that worried. I mean, I felt the pressure was building, but
Doku he's one of those players who, if Wan-Bissaka can't defend him, then he's literally not a footballer. What Doku wants to do, he wants to mainly go on the outside, and Wan-Bissaka is really good at watching the ball, but he doesn't commit himself till he has to, and when he does, he usually wins it. And that is, I felt like if I was bringing Doku on, I probably would have stuck him on the other flank, even though I know he wants to be on Wan-Bissaka's flank. I'm probably putting him on the other flank because I feel like Wan-Bissaka's is likely to have his measure. Even though Dado also played well. And he's an interesting one here. I mean, interesting probably is a stretch. But in that, he's now got a lot of big game performances that have been really good on either side. Yeah. He's fucked us up on various occasions when he shouldn't have done as well. It hasn't been as good a season as people are inviting us to believe. But what we have seen is that in the big moments, he won't necessarily let us down.
Yeah, look, he has definitely improved this season, Dallo. I worry about his defensive stuff. He's very, very good at inverting and coming inside and supporting midfield. I mean, he's definitely done that. He's not a player that bombs up the outside and puts a load of crosses in. He's not that kind of.
But he has done a bit of that as well.
Occasionally, he makes fewer defensive mistakes than he has done in the past. He's definitely improved a lot. if there are areas of the pitch that we need to spend money, that I'd spend money in first, other than right back now, because he's improved enough. And you'd have to spend an awful lot of money to get an upgrade, for sure. It's probably 6th or 7th on the list, that one. Wan-Bissaka's an interesting one, because that kind of special teams, like marking the player out of the game and defending one-on-one, is great, but you only need that a few times of the season if you're a team that's challenging for the honours that we want United to be, right? So
that's not where we're looking to go.
No.
For Wan-Bissaka to be necessary. We're looking to play a way that means that even if the other team has a winger who might sometimes have the measure of your fullback, because they don't have the ball, it's fine.
Yeah.
And any money we could get for him, I would accept.
Yeah. I mean, he's only got a year left on his contract, plus the option. But normally when they trigger the options, you end up paying them off anyway, because they don't have to go, because they've got that extra year. So I don't know. There's huge value in triggering it. So yes, I think any money they would probably take and bring a younger player in. But yeah, like yesterday, Doku attacking him, almost faultless in that particular scenario. That's where you want Wan-Bissaka.
I felt like talking of the defending, another little thing that went our way in the first half particularly was a ref that was letting tackles go. There was a few that were sort of felt like on the borderline, another ref might have booked them. And not having defenders in the book and midfielders in the book early on also felt like it was just those little things that went in our favour, I felt were quite helpful.
Well, Kobe got booked, didn't he? But I wasn't ever really worried that he's going to do something dumb, because he's just got old head on his shoulders. He's far more mature than a 19-year-old should be. Just everything about his game. I mean, man of the match, I agree with you. I don't know whether he was man of the match. It was a perfect performance, though, from him, wasn't it? I mean, against world-class players, and Kovacic, in the centre of the park. And again, proving he's, as Gareth Southgate likes to put it, a profile of player we haven't got. He is a 6 and an 8. It probably could be a 10 all rolled into one, couldn't he? Because he's so good in and around the box. Just, great again. Well, I mean, we were talking about him last summer. We called it first here before he got injured in pre-season, and Ten Hag would have played him all season. He basically confirmed it in his interviews after the game yesterday as well, that he would have been in the team much earlier, but for that pre-season injury. And what a find! I mean, to buy a player of that quality, you'd be spending huge amounts, wouldn't you? Huge amounts.
I mean, he's one of Madrid. He'd already be at Madrid if he wasn't at United, basically, because they've been buying all of those players. Like every good young midfielder in the world, basically, Madrid have signed.
Yeah.
And it's now about getting the players that he needs to have around him, because we know, despite the poverty of his underlying stats, which I must say I found very worrying when he was scoring that goal yesterday, and thinking, if only Matteo Guendouzi was there instead.
Yeah.
But it's about working out what's going to complement him. Like where are the holes, but also who can he elevate and who can elevate him. And because the first choice is him and Bruno, it means, as I keep saying this, that we do need to find someone with some physical presence. But in the meantime, I mean, I can remember after Newcastle, we said that, that Amrabat felt like a better selection than Casemiro. And then he had that shocker against Brighton. Suddenly you're just thinking that both absolute nonsense. We might as well get on the one that might score. And back to your point about Casemiro, you're right in the sense that the things that he's good for nowadays are not security. It's the passing out of defence when he hits long passes and they're good, goals, and using his head in our own box. It's not the things that make him useful are not the things that made him useful when he was at his peak, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk about the fans a little bit and Erik Ten Hag. I mean, obviously, thousands of United fans stayed. The City fans all fucked off, as you always get with the cup final. They had the 2 trophy presentations, the one up the Wembley steps with big Sir Jim, Sir Alex, that fucker Glazer.
And Sir Brailsford.
And Sir Brailsford. Yeah. Were there 2 Glazers there? Was that Darcy with Avram? I wasn't sure who she was next to him.
I
surely
Avram
Avram doesn't have a lady wife. Surely not. I mean, who would? Jesus fuck. Anyway, the two fantastic. Bruno lifted the cup. Everyone got to go, and then all the players told Ten Hag to lift the cup. Nice moment for him. Yeah, very nice moment. And then they all danced down the steps.
Because it feels like if he does leave, then he can now leave with some pride.
Oh yeah.
But instead of having to slink out, having lost to City again, if he does leave, it feels like he for him, there's some closure. Talking to the fans, like something that was personal to me that I loved was one of my group of Reds is a guy called Barry, who's well into his 80s. He's been proper ill recently, and he was getting everyone telling him not to come. And he stood there at the game, and a few of the boys were like, "Yeah, we wouldn't listen. We told him not to come." And I said, "When you're in contemplation of death, what is the last thing you're going to give up? It's going to be this."
Yeah,
and imagine like. Barry has been going long enough from the days when if United were away, go to Main Road in the kind of the 40s and 40s and 50s. And then we win. You're just like, you can't possibly deny this man this. Like, well, this guy hasn't seen it. Is not worth seeing. And for him to still be adding shit like this to his list of things seen at that age and is just quite emotional. I took a photo of him and one of our mates' dads, like the two of them, from behind. And then when it starts to get really hot, this is another just beautiful aspect of the day. We're at the end for the race. So not only did we beat City, but we also grab a load of vitamin D into the bargain. And there are two of them. And they're both like 70s, 80s with like the shirts around over their heads to protect them from the sun. It just felt like this is what this is about. I've probably said before, I've got jiggered knees and a jiggered toe. So when I run these days, I find that after a few days, consecutive days of running, my back starts to get sore. So I get the podiatrist recommends that I go to this shop, and I go to this shop in a Pulse bar where they properly understand trainers and feet and all of this body mechanics and whatever. So they recommend a pair of trainers. I try this pair of trainers on, and I can feel that they're better for me. I'm really flat-footed, and I also do a bit of a 10-2 John Wayne style walk as well. And I can feel that these trainers are you're meant to push off your big toe when you run or when you walk. And I can feel that they're pulling my feet inwards and making me do that and try to work on my gait, which is maybe Jordan Henderson needed a pair.
Could have done with it, yeah.
So I say, okay, I'll buy them. Like I try a few pairs, like your Brooks this, your Asics that, your Hoka the other, like the running trainers that the serious people in the gym have. And I can't even remember what this brand were called, but I'm like, I guess I've got to get them. And at 225 quid. I'm like, you absolute what? But what can I do? Like, so I'll buy it. And then because I'm walking from North London to Wembley, about hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, I think, well, I can't really justify spending £225 on these and not wearing them. But also, look at the state of my feet. Like, I'm an Air Max guy. And so I wear them with shorts. Then after the game, I bump into someone who I know off Twitter. We've always said, like, we'll say hello again. We see each other finally. And we say hello. And I'm thinking, goodness me, like, I've met someone for the first time and I've got this muck on my feet. Is it weird? I'm thinking this morning, if I message explaining why I'm wearing these trainers, given that he's bound,
Yes.
given like what are the chances that he would have noticed? Absolutely none. So I explain what's going on, thinking I know this is weird. I go £225 to look like a prick, and he goes ha ha ha. I genuinely caught them and thought he's always slagging people's clobber off on Twitter.
Yeah, you deserve it. Yeah.
So, however, someone in the queue on the way to get back to the set, in the way walking up Wembley Way, did compliment my sunglasses. So some you win, some you lose.
While we're on shout outs, I should say hi to Jamie from Reds, who came and said hi in the bar we were watching in yesterday. It shows you what small world it is. He's obviously from Scotland, came with a few Scottish mates, some of whom were watching Celtic Rangers in the bar upstairs. It went the wrong way for them. And
That's a shame.
And then they're off to a wedding in Walla Walla today, I think.
The Queen dying and Rangers losing a cup final to Celtic all in the same few years must be quite hard to take.
Wow,
but
big moments.
There's
Yeah.
a phrase, I've never met anyone from Falkirk, but there's a phrase in Scotland, "Night to Falkirk with you." Like if someone's talking bullshit or something, you say, "I'll get away to Falkirk," because no one wants to go to Falkirk, apparently.
I don't think I've ever actually been. I went to university in Scotland, so I've been to many parts, but I don't think I've been to Falkirk. All right, can we talk about Erik Ten Hag a little bit? After the game, he gave a lot of interviews. In fact, one with Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer on the pitch, which I like Gary Lineker. I have got no time for Alan Shearer, and I thought it was one of the most disrespectful interviews after a manager has led his team to victory in the FA Cup final to not, "Congratulations, Erik. Well done. What a win. This must be a fantastic day for you. But you're going to lose your job, aren't you?" Which is basically the first question, which I thought was just come on. Like, this is the BBC. They don't need to get in the gutter with everyone else. And I really didn't like that at all. But Erik was like, where's all the Riz? Like, where's this come from? Because he's been pointy and spiky and pushing back against journalists and challenging them in a way he hasn't done for the first almost 2 years of his time at Manchester United. Even when things were going against us, we didn't get refereeing decisions. He just sat there like a fucking accountant. And now, accountants. I said that before about Erik, and I got a few people complain at me, going, "Hey, I'm an accountant.
I'm a very cool accountant."
Yeah. So anyway, he was very spiky afterwards, but also loving the moment, and as he should do, I think. Pep, on the other hand, what a sore loser. Unbelievable. Just what a desperately sad man. Because, he knows deep down in his heart, one, he got it wrong. Ten Hag got it right on the day again. But also, no one respects anything they've done. And it's eating away at him. He's just desperate for that validation. You can't respect it because they've systematically cheated their way to where they are. Wouldn't have been where they are without the state wealth, and they still got beaten.
Yeah, I mean, Ten Hag, I thought, he handled it well. I thought the line of questioning, it is quite hard when the Guardian have published an exclusive on the Friday saying you are gone, because you can be sure that the information will have come from high up. It was probably double sourced, and there's absolutely no way that the editors would have published it if it wasn't cast iron.
Yeah.
So it may be that they changed their mind or whatever, but you can assume that it came from somewhere proper, at least one proper place, and it would have been properly verified. So for them to not ask him about it would be weird. It just sometimes feels, I guess, like they don't always ask those kinds of questions to people, and no one is scared of Ten Hag, so they don't mind asking him that question. They're questions that they tend not to ask Pep Guardiola, featuring the numbers 115, for example.
Never ask him that.
And so I guess in context, you might think like that's a bit schneid, but on the other hand, you do sort of have to ask the question. So I do see both sides of that one, but he handled it really well. And he handled this game really well. Like we talked earlier about whether he was practicing the formation with Højlund or just saying he needed a rest. Turned out he was practicing. And that seemed like a good ploy. And Højlund was useful when he came on, taking the ball for walks, putting pressure on defenders. And he looked to be the one who
into the corner. Yeah,
and definitely wasn't offended because he looked to be the one most enjoying the celebrations.
Yes, just how drunk was Rasmus Højlund? I think quite drunk was the answer. Yeah, I love the pictures. He's with Scott McTominay a lot of the night. So they start in a ballroom in some hotel somewhere. Yeah, who knows where exactly.
It didn't look like as good a party as I kind of hoped.
Yeah, it was a bit sparse. You think they'd have a few more people?
Exactly in the word, but where is everyone?
They need more celebs in there, I think. Because there are plenty around the world. Maybe no one actually thought United were going to win. I don't know, and they didn't get enough of them there. But they clearly continued on the bus afterwards. I don't know where they stayed. in London last night or went straight back to Manchester. But yeah, he looked worse for wear increasingly as the night went on. But yeah, good for him. His first major trophy as a player, isn't it? I mean, he could have stayed at Atlanta and won the Europa League, I suppose.
Where Xabi Alonso basically did a Guardiola.
Yeah, he overthought it.
So it's possible that Guardiola this time, I felt like he underestimated us. He might have underthunk it, actually.
Yeah.
Whereas Xabi Alonso definitely overthunk it.
He did.
If you just do the
he tried a galaxy brain thing. Yeah, just do the thing that's one you... Yeah.
Well, I guess the thing that he has that is unusual for a team like Leverkusen when they have success, it's not 11 players. They've got a squad. And he's been changing it quite a lot, depending on the game. So he did it again and ended up not playing the best players in the best formation. And Atlanta just, it was another, like similar to United, they just produced a perfect performance. And I was saying, even when it was 2-1 and you're thinking 10 to go, thinking, even if we manage to toss loose, whatever it is, even if we manage to lose from here, it will be awful. But this is the best we can play. I think this is the best this team can play against that team. And if it isn't good enough, then that's a shame. But they've left it all out there. And it's quite hard to say, well, actually, you should have done X, should have done Y. That wouldn't be Liverpool in the Cup that time in 99. The better team won, but Liverpool did everything they could. Like, it's quite hard for them to look back and think, we should have done X, we should have done Y.
Just because of moments. Yeah,
they did everything they could and lost to a better team. And that was what I was kind of feeling as the time was winding down. And maybe I was just trying to make myself feel a bit better in case we did jizz it up. But I never really felt like we were going to, because there was just...
I definitely had some squeaky bum time with 7 minutes on the board. I was like, oh, shit. But that was just like, we could throw it away. There was a wonderful moment, I guess you wouldn't have caught it in the stadium, where the camera pans to Fergie and he's doing this.
Yeah, I've seen it subsequently.
Absolutely perfect.
It really was so annoying. I really found it irritating that the statue they do of Fergie isn't in that one with him tapping the watch, or the pose that we see also, like the classic arms in the air pose. Like, why? That was how it should have been, arms in the air. The classic Fergie, like awkward arms in the air celebration. I mean, I guess like part of the reason we're in this shit heap is because of him. But at the same time, seeing like aged Fergie take Nachas in United winning is extremely heartwarming.
Oh God, yeah, and talk about he's 80 odd now and been ill, but he loves it as much as ever, doesn't he? Doesn't want to be anywhere else but the cup final with Big Sir Jim and Big Sir Dave and Avram Glazer fucker, who hopefully within the next 18 months will fuck the fuck off permanently, and we can enjoy more days like that. All right, that means United are in the Europa League, which I think overall for the club is good. Obviously, financially, some of the younger players can play in the group stages. It does mean that we'll be off to Karabag and FJK Helsinki and wherever the fuck next season.
Where the Newcastle photo at, more importantly.
Yeah. They miss out on Europe, and Chelsea have a two-legged playoff to get into the Conference League in August. Awesome. So, yeah, many benefits all around there.
And anyone know how Leeds gone today?
You know what? It was 1-0. They were 1-0 down. And I missed the final result. What was it? They lost. Good, sweet.
Dan James at the bar towards the end, and they lost. And it's just been what a spectacular weekend where, like, the fringe benefit is Newcastle screwing up Newcastle and Chelsea and City, and then Leeds don't get promoted. That just all feels like a very, very fine weekend's work. So the question now is, what happens with Ten Hag?
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know how you say Steinberg will have double-sourced it, and I'm sure at the time his information's good, but it seems like they have said to various sources afterwards, no, we've got this review. Now, it may well be they're leaning towards firing Ten Hag anyway, and he's made a lot of mistakes this season. The fact that he did not change a failing system over and over and over again, like for all the mitigation of the many injuries this season, he went the wrong direction and stuck with it. And in many jobs, not just sport, if you fail and fail again, at some point someone's going to say, hang on, mate, it's not going well here, is it? How do you think this is going? So That's clearly what's going to happen with Ten Hag now. They may have already made the decision, but they're putting it in, quote unquote, a formal review now to come out the other side with it.
Okay, so that if we had been told at the start of the season that you will miss Champions League, but you get Europa League through beating City in the cup final, would we have said all right? Shaking hands on that?
As fans, we might well have done, yeah, because I think like I'm not of the Arsene Wenger school that fourth place is a trophy. I understand why it's important in terms of development of the club. If you believe there's a pathway that you're going in that's going to lead to something consistently better, but you don't swap that for the feeling of beating Liverpool in this cup run and then City in the cup final. Do you, right?
And I mean, I think the point where Wenger was saying it also, the point is also that he's got his hands tied financially at that point. He can't spend, so fourth place. It's still bullshit, obviously, but it was what he said. It wasn't the kind of celebration of failure that people say when they cast it in that particular way. If that's not really what was going on there. But I feel like before we won, he was absolute toast. And he still probably is. But you've got the players are playing for him. Very obviously the players are playing for him. And if there isn't someone that you're desperate to employ, then perhaps you give him another go. I don't feel like his end point is gonna be good enough. And if I was guessing, I would say that the guy they would like to appoint is McKenna. That what they would like a head coach and then trust structure to deliver for the head coach. But I keep saying it. I just feel like in order to run a place like United, you can't be as bland as I think McKenna is. You need to have a much more, what's the word? You need an inspirational personality. You need to be able to bring people with you. And I don't think McKenna's that either. But I don't think Ineos want that necessarily that kind of manager for them. For me, like this is what I would be looking for. I would be looking for the next generation club. That's what I think it needs. Yeah. I don't think that's what Ineos think it needs. I think Ineos.
It's not the way they behaved at Nice, but Nice is a very different club, isn't it? I mean, Nice, they appointed a couple of twats and then had a rethink and appointed Farioli and went for a younger coach and a younger football director and and younger players as well and went down that model of having structure and fitting everyone into the structure, which always leads me to think when all these names are being bandied around about who might be next, whether it's De Zerbi, who's quite difficult to work with by all accounts, Tuchel, who's very difficult to work with, Pochettino, who wants to be his own man, and it's like, do they fit within that model? And it all has come in the same conversation, right? Clearly they're reaching out to all these coaches or their people because it's all leaking out all the time. All agents are putting their men forward to be part of the conversation. But it's a holistic review, isn't it? What have we done? Where do we need to go? Walk to the right answer, don't run to the wrong one, as Ratcliffe says all the time. But within the context of right structure to take the club forward and a club style that they want. Now, all four of these men that I just mentioned there, and I think I don't know. I went down the list of other people on the pod on Friday, and it's like 7 or 8 who are regularly mentioned. Completely different styles, so we may well be like talking ourselves around in circles with some of these guys who have never actually got a chance because they're thinking about something very different.
I think I do need to defend Tuchel slightly in that he's got a sort of a reputation for falling out with people, being difficult. But look at where he's worked. He was doing fine at Chelsea till Bowley turned up.
Yeah.
He was at Paris, seems like a basket case. And he was at Bayern, also not a good time in Bayern's history. So maybe he is difficult, but also being difficult isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it will be him. As I said, I think what they want is McKenna, and it's a matter of convincing themselves that it's acceptable to appoint him. That would be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, would for a club, I mean, it's unusual for a club the size of Manchester United to appoint someone who's 38 years old and has got 2 years of first team manager experience. It would be very unusual. Obviously, Barcelona did it with Xavi, didn't really work. Particular circumstances there around their financial basket case, and they're trying to recover, and they won't recover from that for a decade, basically. So, and Alonso has got, well, he had less experience actually, but at Leverkusen, which is, historically a mid-sized club in Germany. So there aren't many cases of a young manager coming in with very little experience into a giant job. I mean, I guess Guardiola at Barcelona. He had
Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah. True.
Trevor Francis.
True.
Not a bad job at Sheffield Wednesday at the beginning. But I think with Xabi Alonso, it's different because he was such a good player. So what Xabi Alonso brings that McKenna does not bring is the power of a well done. The power of a well done from Xabi Alonso is going to be inspirational. I'm sure that's one of the ways. I mean, Gerrard when he went to Rangers, got lucky because he got that interregnum between Rodgers and Postecoglou when it was Neil Lennon. But that would be the main thing that meant that he could win the league. But for players who've grown up watching Steven Gerrard rating them, Steven Gerrard telling them well done, like I'm sure that would have made them feel much better and therefore play much better. So Xabi Alonso is able to bring that, and that gives him political capital with the players, with the fans, but also means that the way that he's going to try and tell you to play football, people are going to say okay to, because they know that he's seen a lot and played for good managers. It's not quite the case with McKenna. And you can see him turning up at the players thinking, who the fuck are you?
Yep. Well, it's a bit like when Andre Villas-Boas got a job, because he was basically a dude who was writing analyst reports and talked his way into a job. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, he's taking over positions at big clubs and kind of, never had the charisma or the history to be successful as a manager. You don't have to have that, right? Wenger was nothing as a manager. Mourinho was, nothing. He became nothing as a manager. Nothing as a player. Mourinho was nothing as a player. So you don't have to have been a brilliant player, but it definitely helps. Like Zidane wouldn't have been walking his way into Real Madrid as his first job without being the best player on the planet. Ancelotti, brilliant player, also has become a brilliant manager. So I think it probably helps when you're starting out to have that history. Doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager, though, does it? Look at Ryan Giggs and Gerrard.
In fairness, Ryan Giggs did a good job at Wales, really, till he had to leave. I would say he was actually doing okay. I mean, it seems unlikely. He never came across as someone who was likely to be good, I don't suppose. But I thought Ryan Giggs was doing a good job at Wales. But in general, it feels like it's for the players who are brilliant, naturally brilliant. Can be quite hard to communicate what makes them brilliant, because a lot of it is just intuition or natural ability, or just you can't get players to do stuff that is special to you. Whereas the guys who've had to think a bit harder about how to be good feel like they might be better, because it's more a cognitive thing. Like they're thinking, how do they get better? And how do they face these particular challenges that they have? And if you can explain that to yourself, then you can explain it to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I suspect this is going to happen quickly. I don't see any benefit of delaying this decision. So they're going to have to back him or sack him. He's only got 1 year left. That feels very, on his contract, that is, Ten Hag. It feels very, very dangerous.
Not in his life.
To go into another season with 1 year on his contract. So they're either going to say he's our man or not. And I suspect not. Just, I think the cup win they'll see is a one-off game, fantastic moment, but a one-off game in a bigger picture. And I can't see them waiting till after the Euros to appoint Southgate, because you'd be leaving it until a month before the new season starts and basically like a week before the pre-season friendly starts. It just seems mental unless they're seeing it as some kind of 5-year project. So I'm talking my way out of them appointing that dickhead. I really hope not. Hope they're not going to do that. But I suspect they'll make a decision quickly and go, we can start planning now, because we know we're going to be in the Europa League. It's not Champions League money. It's not like the guaranteed 60 million that you'll get if you get out of that Swiss group format, which half the teams will do, right? So there's a huge amount of money in the new Champions League. United will get a bit less than that if they make it all the way to the Europa League final, plus the wage reduction, right? So they kind of have a sense of what their budget is likely to be. Ratcliffe and Co can still pump money in. They're going to pump money in. It could be spent on players if they want, or it could just be cash flow. I know they're starting work on Carrington this week, basically. So I think it'll happen quickly and they'll go, this is the direction we're going in. This is what we want. It'll all get done and we'll know soon. And we can talk about it next week.
I think you're right in that by when we reconvene next week for this pod, I think we're going to know what the situation is. There's no, and I agree with, there's no way you wouldn't replace Ten Hag with Southgate. And I'd be
mental, wouldn't it?
I'd be staggered if they did that. So I agree that they ought really to have, because they had basically made their decision. They were firing him. This is just a conversation where they're really saying, okay, are we saying that he saved himself or not? And I don't think it'll be that long a conversation because they'll probably decide that he hasn't, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And we will have to
all right.
They'll go somewhere else and we'll lose to whoever that team is when we play them.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he said after the game, if they don't want me here, I'll go somewhere else and win trophies because that's what I do. It is a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it's true. He won 6 at Ajax and a couple with United, so it's factually true. Although really he's had quite a short career at the top level so far. We'll leave it there. United reconvene in South Carolina for a friendly against someone who I can't remember in July. So no games before then, but we will be back during the summer. Hopefully with some interviews, books, and I think I have the people from the 99 Doc coming on to talk about that and stuff. So, and we'll do some of these dailies during the week when there's stuff to talk about. Back with Darnish with the Tactics Pods for Patreon backers later in the week when he's back from his hollybobs. And in the meantime, we can enjoy this famous victory over City.
Well done.
Where's our parade?
Come on, Reds. Oh,
awesome. Bye now.
Please.